Momo, you are such a good boy. You are such a good boy. Now he hates us because we're forcing him.
Enchanté.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it. This is us on screen for the first time. Thank you to everyone that helped us reach that milestone of 5,000 subscribers. We really appreciate all the support and everyone that's sticking with us and commenting on all the videos, and we got a whole bunch of questions that we have to go through today.
Hopefully
Go.
we'll get to all of them. If we've missed your question, repost it underneath this video and we will get to it in the next Q&A.
And hopefully if we don't look too douchey, we'll do this more often when we're on camera for a change.
I'm fine, it's just that.
I'm used to being on that side of the camera.
Right, let's get started. So, first question. I'm not going to say names because we will post the little questions in. We'll add that in post.
By we, she means me.
By we, I mean him. So because I'm not going to butcher anyone's names. So our first question, it's actually 3 questions from one person, is how many days does it take to train Momo? How many tricks does Momo know? And how long have we had the cats? So
Most of those you can answer by actually going to watch the videos, which will be linked up there.
just above my head. So it takes Momo around 5 to 7 days to learn a new trick. Currently he knows how to sit, he knows how to give paw, he knows how to do high five, how to do up, and how to do spin. And I'm currently teaching him how to jump on a specific spot that I point out to him. And we'll do a video about that in the coming weeks, hopefully.
They are all in a playlist, so the playlist will be linked over there and down below in the comments.
So that's all the tricks that he knows. Then
How
how long have we had the cats? So the oldest cat we have is Alice.
Alice and Maya.
She is 12. She's 12. She was 1 year old when I got her, so I rescued her from our local SPCA, which is our local rescue. And she was 1 year old when I got her. She wasn't wanted because she was a black cat, and I love black cats, so she was my first one, and that's about how long we've had cats. But we both grew up with cats. We've had cats with basically our entire lives, but the oldest one we have currently, who's been with us the longest, is Alice, and it's been 13 years.
And
12
then
to
we
13
got,
years.
and then Maya we got a couple of months after. We got Maya a little bit after Alice, but Alice had already been a year old when you found her at the SPCA.
So she's older, she's 12, and we've had her for 11 years.
But before Maya, I've had cats my entire life. I don't think I've ever had a day without a cat in my life.
I grew up with cats as well. My mom's a big cat lover, so I have had cats as long as I can remember. Can we tell Momo that he is a good boy?
You're a good boy, Momo.
Mommy, come here.
Come
Momo
here,
is not playing along. When Momo comes into the shot, or if he's close to me, I will take him on my lap, show him to you guys, and tell him he's a good boy.
He's currently cleaning his manly bit.
What is Momo's
Wait, I have to get
favorite
Momo's
toy?
favorite toy.
Toby's going to go get Momo's favorite toy. So Momo changes favorite toys on a regular basis. He gets very bored with toys quickly, so we have a lot of them and we rotate them. Currently, his favorite toy is very special. It's a very special toy. It's been his favorite for about 2 weeks now, which is quite a long time for him. Generally, he really likes feather toys, but this toy is even more special. It's very unique.
So we spent all this money on this. I mean, these are one of the coolest toys that we get in here. I think the brand is called...
It's called The Cats or something like that.
ZA Cats or something, and it's this extendable rod thing with a feather at the end. He's looking all intrigued.
And
Okay,
he
but are
really
you ready
loves
for
feather
this?
toys,
His
but
most special toy.
This is the most special toy. We've played with it for 2 weeks. We've kept it in the house because it's so special, and it is
A stick.
So when we cut down the tree recently, when he was stuck in a tree, this stick came off that tree, and it has legitimately been
And
his favorite
it's not
toy.
even just Momo's favorite. I mean, Alice is over there, and they go absolutely nuts for this stick. I don't know what it is about this stick, but we can never throw this stick away.
So the stick now lives with us, and that just shows you can spend money on toys and cat treats and so on and so forth, and they'll end up playing with the most random stuff. Momo also likes playing with cable ties or bottle caps. So it really changes from day to day. Currently, his favorite toy is the stick.
And balls. He loves balls. Even though, I mean, he's named after a football player, so you know, it's only fitting.
Self-explanatory.
But he loves balls.
What is Momo's favorite place in the house?
His cat tree.
His cat tree. In the house, it's definitely, so it's that we have one cat tree at the moment. We're hoping to get more in the future. And the top of the cat tree has this little platform that's round, and he loves to sleep in it. He also loves to chase the other cats out of it. It's like prime real estate. But then his second favorite spot is actually in our garden. We have at the bottom of our garden, we have a little bush, and he with really pretty flowers. Maybe Toby can eventually like put
it
a
has
shot
been
in
in
the corner or something.
In a couple other videos, but yeah, it's down the bottom of the garden. He loves lying in the shade there.
We'll add a picture in post.
By wishing.
He likes to lie behind it. There's also lots of lizards in it, so he'll like basically nap, and then if he hears movement, he'll be able to catch the lizard, and so that's his second favorite spot. Let's do a very special question that came in from Toby's niece Eliana.
All the way from Germany.
All the way from Germany, and she's probably our biggest fan, and we love her a lot, and we miss her, and we haven't seen her in forever.
So there's a shout out to you, Ellie.
And she was asking, how do we deal with having so many cats?
We don't.
That's the short answer. No. It's really not any different to having one cat. You just need to make sure that everybody is getting individual attention. We're lucky our cats really get along. They have their little moments like siblings, where they'll fight and, well, not fight. They'll squabble and disagree.
The thing that takes the longest is preparing their food. Now that we're on raw food, it does take a bit longer. It would be more convenient with just one cat, but, you know, we'll deal with it.
The other big adjustment is probably that you lose real estate. Because we let our cats into every room of the house, including the bedroom, it means that at night, in winter specifically...
it's going towards winter and we have just cats everywhere. We have this much bed and they have the rest.
So that's the biggest adjustment. Otherwise, I would really say having more than one cat is pretty much the same as having one cat. It's just more love and more purrs and more attention and more fun. So I hope that answered your question, Eliana.
If Diego's lonely, we highly recommend you get him a friend.
You know that stray cat that keeps coming to your house? Convince your mom. Is Momo a lap sitter? My Balinese likes to sit by you, but she won't sit on your lap.
It depends.
Momo's generally the same. He's not a big lap cat. He'll have his moments where he'll come sit in both Toby's lap and mine, but it is more of a rarity than anything else.
And it's more in winter. I think one of the future questions is who's the cuddliest, but we'll get to that. But Maya and Cabby will love to sit on people, but Momo really depends. He needs to be really in that mood, and more so in winter again.
Yeah, so Momo will generally sit near us. If you've seen our couch, it's an L shape, so generally I will sit in the L corner, and I'll have my legs up, and then he will basically sit on the long part of the L, but he won't sit on my lap. It's really quite rare for him to actually do that. So our cat is very much like yours. Does Momo like sleeping with you? Now that is a question that is going to bring up a lot of anger from that side of the room.
Not anger, just jealousy. Also, apologies for the dogs going nuts.
We're in South Africa. It's walking time at this time of the day.
It's 4:30 and everyone's taking their dogs for a walk. Anyway.
Which means that my dog Sasha needs to tell everybody that this is her house.
You can find a video about her over here. I always wanted to do that.
Yes. So Momo does sleep with us on the bed. In summer when it's very hot, he'll sleep on the floor near the bed. So we'll put a blanket down and he'll sleep there. Now that it's getting colder, he is sleeping on the bed and he will only sleep on my side of the bed and against my stomach.
It raises a couple jealousy points for me.
We don't know why.
The problem is I think it's because I move so much when I sleep. I toss and turn a lot.
Momo is a bit of a mama's boy as well. So he does generally like... He loves playing with Toby and being active with Toby and so on, but when it comes to like cuddle time and so on, he tends to come to me. It's just what he does. So yes, he sleeps with us, and in winter... Momo, you are such a good boy. You are such a good boy. Now he hates us because we're forcing him. So yeah, he sleeps depending on the temperature outside, he'll sleep at my feet and then he will inch his way upwards. He also likes to squeeze himself between Alice and me, and Alice sleeps with me every night against my stomach, so he'll basically like squeeze himself in between her and me.
And I think it'll change in winter again. In winter, usually him and Alice come lying right between us, right at the top.
Where the heat is.
Yeah.
And in winter, which is really cute, when it's really, really cold, like when we hit the strongest winter in South Africa as far as winter
We'll
go
try and
here,
go under.
he will, in the morning, he'll try to let me know that he wants to go under the blanket, and then we'll have like a half hour or so cuddle session where he's under the blanket with like his head on my pillow, and we'll just cuddle.
Listen,
You're
Momo
missing
can-
some really adorable footage on the other side of the camera for once.
One of the things, Momo is extremely weather dependent. Like we see, as soon as it becomes cold at night, he sleeps all night and he chills in bed, and he's a lot more docile. Whereas in summer, he's out and about in the
Very
garden,
active.
very active.
So
And
he-
even during the night, and that's when sometimes he wakes us at like 3 in the morning.
Which he hasn't done in a couple of weeks now because we've been going towards winter and temperatures drop, especially at night now. It's quite warm today, but I assume that later tonight when the sun is gone it will probably drop a little. And what we consider cold is also not what... Hold on, there's the other one. What we consider cold, I'm gonna go over here, is not what other people in Europe consider cold. Right.
Okay, never mind.
It's not the same. How old is Momo and what does he love to eat?
May, June. Momo's turning 3 in 3 months.
Yes, so he's turning 3 in June? June.
Okay, 2 months.
July? July.
July, he's a month before me.
He's
He's
a month-
exactly a month before me.
you. So he is 2 and, well, nearly 3. What does he love to eat?
Most things.
Most things. Momo
No,
is
well,
very
not
easy.
actually. He is a little bit picky, but he does like eating most
He's
things.
not picky. He's quite easygoing.
Yeah, he's
I mean, there's pickier eaters than him. If you want something weird that he loves to eat, is he's a bit of a carb freak. He loves potatoes. He loves bread.
which is not healthy for them though. So we don't
Yes.
encourage, and
It-
we don't give him food like things like that all the time.
We don't give it to him often, but I've noticed like if we're eating and we have those kinds of food available and we're eating them, he'll try to steal them from us. So that's when he gets like super active and he's like, oh, I need to have some of this. So that's one of those weird things he likes.
But with their raw diet, he really,
He's thriving
he
on it.
really loves it. Yeah.
Aren't you afraid that your cats will get out of your backyard and maybe get lost and injured?
Yes.
Yes and no. Our backyard is really quite safe because South Africa has theoretically such a high
There's
crime
very
rate.
There's very high walls all around the property. You'll have seen, if you watch the video of Momo getting stuck in the tree, that's really the only location where they can get off the property. And
But
that's
only
where,
because the wall is broken and there's some
Yeah.
points where they can go up. Most of our walls are between
2 meters and
2.5 and 3 meters high, and then we have the houses are basically on either side of the property and the house, and then we have wall at the front as well. So there's very few spots they can get out of the property, and none of them can except for my mom's cat who's in the second house, and that's because he has figured out how to jump onto a railing and from the railing onto the roof, so he leaves via the roof. And we've tried to cat-proof that area, but he will always find new ways. So we've kind of given up on keeping him in because we also worry that we're going to get to a point where we're cat-proofing so well that he won't be able to get home.
And I mean, recently Momo has been going on the wall down there. It's hard to tell where they're going. We're going to see when the neighbors have finished renovating. They met us and they want to show us their house once they're done. But we'll be able to have a look where exactly they can go. I don't think actually that they can go onto a different
I don't
property.
think so either.
So they go
There's a
between.
little
There's a
gap.
gap between our boundary wall and the other boundary wall. And I
And
think
they
they basically
sleep.
go up and down up there.
And they sleep there. So we're not too worried. We've been in this house for 5 years or something like that.
And nothing has ever happened.
And the only cat who has left the property is Nino.
But even if they do, we live in a very... It's a
Residential
very
area, it's
friendly
very quiet.
community as well, and everyone here has pets. I mean, when we walk the dog, there's cats everywhere, and everyone respects the cats. Nobody speeds down this road, and they all know
So
it's
the
a friendly community.
The
so to
worry
speak.
is obviously always there, but as far as them getting out, the chances are very little. Let's put it that way. The chance is always there, of course. We're aware of it with cats that go outdoors. But
And we live in a very small cottage, so I'd feel really bad for locking 5 cats in there. I think we'd have murder.
and again, the positives outweigh the negatives because the odds are very much that they are safe here. Because again, we've been here for 5 years, and
The worst things that have happened to them have happened on this property.
Yes. Except for Nino, my mom's cat, where obviously we do worry when he leaves, but knock on wood, so far nothing's happened, and we hope it stays that way. What are the good and bad behaviors of your cats? Oh dear.
What are the good behaviors? I'm not sure they have good behaviors. They have good qualities where they cuddle and they look cute and they're adorable when they sleep. Kind of like babies.
Yeah. What
The
are
bad
good behaviors? They stay in the property is a good behavior. They're not
Yeah.
really desperately trying, except for Nino, they're not desperately trying to get out of here, which is fantastic.
Which I suppose proves that we're doing something right. Bad behaviors are we can't have nice things. And I think, didn't we
They
mention
scratch.
this?
I think there's another question coming up.
We
They
mentioned
do
this in some of the other one other video, like the pros and cons or something like that. All of our furniture is scratched. We try as we may, but eventually they will scratch a couch or they scratch a chair, and
They are very loud around mealtime, but they are very well behaved
really
about
bad.
generally staying off the table when we eat, because they are allowed. Our cats have a lot of freedom. They're allowed to be on the kitchen table when we are not eating. When we're eating, when we're cooking, they are to stay off the counter and off the table, which
Well,
they
when-
generally stick to.
while we're cooking, they're all sitting lined up on the kitchen table waiting for food. But while we eat, they know that they're not allowed on there.
I think they're generally pretty good cats. They have a couple of little quirks that every now and then, I mean, Momo sometimes bullying the others when he's bored can be an issue, but it's not the end of the world. Ryu,
I don't know if you want to call it bad behavior, but it's not really bad behavior. But Maya likes to dig in a litter box so that there's cat litter, in the sink
Everywhere.
kind of a situation.
she has
It's
this
also-
magical twist of her paw that she
She
does.
has the flick going really well.
Where
But
she will
again, I
get
don't know if
litter.
that's bad behavior. It's just her personality.
Yeah, that's just how she is.
The only really bad behavior I can think of is the scratching of the sofa.
Yeah, of all furnitures. There's our alley cat. She's the best behaved.
Hello to the fans.
She's the most awesome.
You are always the most difficult to film because you're just a black hole.
How was Momo taught not to scratch or bite certain things? He
Well,
wasn't.
as we just learned, he doesn't.
He doesn't scratch or bite us. though.
He does the typical thing where he'll hang under the couch and just, pull himself along.
And we've tried correcting it. Whenever we see him, we tell him to stop and so on, but they'll keep
Currently
doing it.
irritating. That's one of the bad behaviors. He's busy irritating Alice.
But generally speaking, what we did manage to successfully teach him, and that's I think just something that comes with teaching them as kittens, is he doesn't bite or scratch us.
Yeah, he's actually.
He's very
Whereas
gentle.
if you were to play with Kebby and get her on the belly and scrub, she'd really scratch you. Whereas Momo is actually very gentle. Like if I have a ball covered in catnip or something and I'll rub it on his belly and he'll grab it, he puts his claws out, but he doesn't actually penetrate with them and really scratch hard.
Whereas Kebby can get a bit rough in her play. The gentlest are Ryu is very, very,
Yes,
very
when,
gentle.
When Ryu takes a treat out of your hand, he's kitty
won't
soft paws.
he won't even take his claws out. I've been scratched by Ryu once, and he was in distress in that situation. It was actually my fault. I shouldn't have picked him up. I was trying to do him a favor. I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but it was basically my fault. And that is the only time in his 7 years that he ever drew blood on me. He's definitely the most gentle. So Momo doesn't. None of them really bite or scratch us. All of them scratch and, don't bite, but scratch furniture and so on and so forth. And we do have the cat trees everywhere, the scratches everywhere, but cats will be cats.
Before we move on to the next question, remember to hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends, all the usual stuff.
Join us on
Go-
Instagram if you want daily photos of Momo and the crew.
And also go find the website. I know we've been a bit slow on updating stuff, but
We've
we're
had a
getting
lot
there.
of personal stuff going on at the moment, so it's been a bit slow to get other content out.
And a lot of people have been asking us to post certain recipes, and I promise you we are getting there. We will do it.
It's gonna be a long video, guys. Next, do Siamese live longer than other breeds? We
I
don't
think-
know.
And it's also difficult because Momo is not a purebred, as a lot of fans have let us know. We know he's not a purebred, so we really don't know. We're hoping he lives forever.
We're hoping all of them live forever. I think it very much depends on the cat. We've had one of my previous family cats live to be 18, which is quite a good life.
Yeah, Matisse lived to be 16.
We're hoping, we have heard a lot of stories that there's a lot of Siamese out there that get to 20, 21, which I'm really, really hoping that some
will
of
be
our
great,
cats
yeah.
will achieve, maybe even Momo, but we really can't comment because Momo is our first Siamese and he's not a purebred Siamese either, so we'll see in 20 years if he's still around.
For me, it's the most important thing is that we give them a long and comfortable life with as much medical help as possible and keep
as
them
long
as
as
healthy as possible, and that they don't die of some illness or something that could have been prevented. That's my biggest thing. As long as they've had a long, healthy life. So, I mean, people always say, how does the saying go? They are only a tiny fraction of our lives, but
we are their whole
we are
life.
their entire life. So we try and make their lives as good as possible
For as long as possible. What year did you get Momo and why? Which cat did you get first and why? What year was it that we got Momo?
3 years ago, 2019.
2019.
Yeah, the year before the pandemic.
We got him because we had recently lost a different
Maybe
kitten.
we'll tell that story at some point as well.
Yes.
Story of trouble.
She was a very special kitten. She was blind and she had some difficulties, and we ended up losing her. And
But we'll tell that story
yeah.
another time.
And Momo was a response from our vet specifically to that situation.
He was the rebound cat.
Yes. So our vet basically shortly said that, especially with kittens, one of the best ways to recover from it, because you're so used to taking care of a little soul at that point, is to get another one. And they had Momo at that point who desperately needed a home. And we had just unfortunately lost a kitten. So she suggested we have a look at him, and if we feel he's the right fit, we must take him in. And
Not usually one to believe in fate, but in this case, it was meant to be.
yeah, it really
And
lined
I'm also
up.
not usually, I don't really agree with the thing, replace them as quickly as possible. Some people might differ, but in this case, it really worked out for the best.
Yeah.
And I think he's pretty spoiled.
It was meant to be. So our first cat was,
And
well, in my
the
case,
thing is, it was separate because we weren't living
complicated.
together yet. So my first cat was Maya, of the lot that we still have.
and you got her because he had, well, you told it, you had an elderly
We
cat.
had an elderly cat, Matisse, who was at that point, I don't know how old. He must have been 9 or 10,
Yeah.
something around there. And we decided to get Maya, and she really helped him, stay active and live longer, I think. And then you got Maya,
Alice.
you got Alice.
So I got Alice. We'd moved to South Africa in 2007, and as I said, I grew up with cats. I always had cats in my life, and then when we moved here, we didn't have any cats in France when we moved. So that was a good thing probably. And then when we moved here, we lived here for I think nearly 2 years before I told my mom I need a cat in my life. I can't do this anymore. I want a pet. I miss having cats. And so we made all the preparations, and Alice was my first cat. That was really my responsibility. I was 17, 18 at the time. I'm the one who went to the SPCA, who picked her out, went for a kitten, ended up with an adult cat because her story really
Black
resonated
cats
with
don't
me.
get adopted very often, especially in South Africa, I feel.
There's still a lot of
superstitions.
superstition around it. And we also really bonded. I arrived at the SPCA and she rubbed against the cage. She really made herself noticeable, and
But she
I
also
loved her.
changed, her personality has changed a lot. I remember the
She
first couple
aged.
of years she
Very
hated
independent.
cuddling. She was her own little mission all the time, and now she's where humans, I'm there.
Yeah, so that's why I got Alice, because I really wanted a cat and I didn't have a cat here in South Africa yet, and therefore she was my first. And she is 12, as I said. She was 11. She was 1 year old when I got her, and I've had her for about 11 years. Right, next. Who's your favorite cat and why, and which cat has been with you the longest? So we've answered the second part twice, I believe, already now.
The next part is you obviously aren't supposed to have
Don't listen to him.
You aren't supposed to have favorites, but I mean, we have 5 cats and one of them has a YouTube channel and the others don't, so make of that as you want.
We love all our cats equally. They're all amazing. They are all special. Alice is the best.
Shame. So basically, it's either Alice or Momo.
No, they're all...
How about you vote? Who's your? Let us know who's your
Yes,
favorite cat.
Let's do that. Let's do that rather. But we love all of our cats. They're all quirky. They all have their positives and negatives, including Momo, who is the star of this show. Who is the most aggressive cat and who's the most cuddly? The most cuddly by far is Maya. She, when it comes to humans at least, she loves human touch. Every evening when we're watching TV, she will come and sit like in your face. Like she will crawl on you and then like sit halfway on your shoulder and like
she'll
lick
have her
your
head
face.
in here and then her paws up there.
And sometimes in the middle of the night you may also wake up and she's busy like physically making out with you, which is super gross, but that's what she does.
As far as who's aggressive, I don't think we have anyone who's actually aggressive.
Aggressive.
Ryu is a little bit. He's not aggressive. He's a bit.
He's grumpy. We like to call him Grumpy Cat. He's very independent. He doesn't really need to be with humans. He doesn't really need to be with other cats. He kind of just exists.
Kebby is also somewhere in between because she loves to cuddle with us, but only if it's just her, but also she's not really aggressive. She gets a bit
Yeah.
upset with other cats sometimes, but there's
yeah.
no one
one's
really fights
aggressive.
with each other or is upset
No
with
one's
each other or
aggressive.
anything like that.
Some are more cuddly than others. And again, I mean, Momo can be a bit of a bully.
When you're
Kebby
hangry,
has really bad reactions to catnip. She loves the stuff, but she gets really, really angry when she has it. So if anyone goes near her stash, she will start fighting them away. Alice can also have a mean streak. Funny enough, Alice has recently started being really sneaky, and she'll like wait behind the sofa for a cat to walk past, and then she'll like whack them in the butt.
but it's also
then run away.
it's not really aggressive.
It's kind of like play fighting. It's like,
Yeah.
I think what I like to compare it to is basically like having brothers and sisters.
Well,
Like,
every now and then you have to poke
you
them a
don't
little
really
bit.
fight, you more like have disagreements and you like get upset with each other a little bit, but you still love each other deep down. Did you get Momo from a
I
breeder?
think there's another question coming up that asks, where did you get Momo? And I suppose we
So
can
we're gonna
them
answer
the
those
same.
together. We did not get Momo from a breeder. Like we said earlier, we got him from our vet.
I think we mentioned it in the very first video we ever uploaded. I'll also link it, the usual place. Is Momo's origin story, but we'll mention it again.
But we'll mention it again, it's not a problem. So basically, Momo's mom was a stray from a colony somewhere in downtown Johannesburg. She was brought in heavily pregnant to our vet by someone who had managed to catch her because she was pregnant. She had 4 kittens, 2 survived, Momo and her sister. The sister was already gone by the time we even got introduced to Momo, and our vet then, because of story mentioned before, was we were paired with him, see if we liked him, and that's how we got Momo. So he is a mixed breed. We don't know anything about his dad. His mom was a snowshoe, but also we don't know if she was a full breed or not. And mom got then sterilized and released back into a colony because she was very feral, so she wouldn't have been able to be adopted.
She whacked she whacked the vet when the vet rudely gripped the kitten away from its mother.
Momo was old enough to be away from her to be weaned, just before you panic. But she obviously was so feral that even when we tried to get Momo away, she was like, just any movement near the cage, she would hiss and she would try to like attack the humans. So there was definitely no chance for her, so the vet did the best thing they could, which was sterilize her and release her into a colony where she is being fed and cared for. Did we get Momo when he was a kitten?
Yes.
Last question.
Well, there's questions.
How much do you typically spend on each cat? How much should I spend? What do I need if I am on a budget and want to get a healthy cat? Any brand recommendations?
So this is a question which I've been actually wanting to do a whole video about, because I think it is quite important for anyone that wants to start or who wants to get a cat.
We're just I'm a little iffy about doing it because...
Well, not iffy, it's complicated because we are in South Africa and most of our viewers are in the United States. Getting the pricing right and stuff will be a bit of a challenge. But I promise we will do a whole video on this. But basically...
It'll depend on your location. That's
Yeah.
the thing. We don't know. I don't think that our vet rates, even though our vets are expensive, I'm not sure our vet rates, even if we calculate them out into dollars, if they will be near yours. But we can do the video and then you can let us know if it's anywhere similar to
Someone
you
was
guys.
kind enough to convert the food bowls into dollars. Maybe they can do the same thing again.
But do they cost that much if you have the same ones in the US? Do they cost the same, or are they more expensive or cheaper there? You could let us know that.
But anyways,
So we'll do a whole video on the breakdown of what it costs us
I think
here
as
in
a
South
quick
Africa.
little thing is the initial setup I think might be a bit pricey if you need the litter box and all that. But on a monthly basis, the price has gone up since doing the raw food just because it is more expensive.
There are a couple tricks though that
Yeah.
you can do. So for example, one, get your cat at a shelter. There'll be an adoption fee, which generally includes, at least in South Africa, it includes the sterilization very often. So you'll have the adoption fee, which you know is going to support your shelter, so your money is well spent. And that covers the first round of vaccination and the sterilization, which I think is fantastic. Then, after that, one of the main things I can only advise, I don't know how the situation is in the US or anywhere else in the world, but I'm sure you have some kind of alternative. Get pet insurance. Or have a savings account that
Yeah,
you
and-
put into to keep for emergencies, because you never know. That's probably going to be your biggest cost if something goes wrong.
Yeah, it's that if something. And I mean, the pet insurance
Get
here is
built.
cheap.
Yeah,
It's like 200 Rand, which is what, like $2?
that's very
$20.
low. $20. Probably
Or
even less.
But again, let us know in the comments and we'll do a whole video about it. I thought it would be interesting. I'm sure there's people out there that want to know. And yeah, let us know and we'll do that.
So pet insurance is a big one because it will cover those emergency situations where you have a cost that was obviously not intended, like when Momo had his urinary tract issues for
his
a while,
abscess.
or his
They covered
abscess. All of that is covered. So you here in South Africa we pay it up front, but we get it reimbursed, which means that we don't have to suffer by taking it out of savings or whatever else we need to do to cover anything that may happen. So I think that's a big one. Then for the initial
food
costs, litter boxes and so on, you probably can get them at dollar stores in the US. Here you can get the plastic, start with the plastic one that's really cheap, and then you can upgrade as you go.
Again,
Kittens are easy.
let's make a whole video.
Yeah.
Please let us know. Like, if you'd love to see that video, drop it in the comments, and we'll do that. Like, I think it would be interesting.
There are definitely
We'll do the whole
ways
video.
to get a cat on a budget.
But we'll give you a full breakdown.
And some cats are more expensive than others. Obviously, if you get a breed cat, you'll pay for the cat. And there's also breeds that have pre-existing conditions that may need more vet care than others and more grooming care than others. So there's a whole lot of things you need to take into consideration,
We'll do
which
a full
we'll put
breakdown.
into a video. And I
I
think
think
we
that's
have
it.
covered all of the questions, guys. We've
Again,
made it.
a huge thank you to everyone that got us to that 5,000 mark. This channel always only started out as a fun thing that we did during quarantine, and it's so awesome to have seen it grow this far, and hopefully to see it grow even further. I mean, it got me to be on camera. I'm a cameraman, so I'm usually on the other end of the camera, so this is new for me.
He's been debating all day whether we should shoot this today or not, and I had to force him.
And it's been quite cool.
And see, it's not so bad.
Yeah, and anyways, we hope we'll still be here in a lot of years to come, and we hope to see it grow. And please help us out with that. Share the videos.
If you like this video, share it, then we'll do more Q&As.
And
Maybe even a live show one day.
that would be cool. I've always wanted to do a live show.
But we'll have to
Ironically.
see how this does.
Anyways, we'll check you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye!